BRICS is going to be launching a new gold-backed currency, and I don't think they're going to be using XRP. And I know that sounds controversial to you right now because I talk about XRP and I'm a massive advocate for XRP. And I research XRP to the point where I can see where XRP is going to be used in certain situations. But there's something about this BRICS currency that I'm not drawing the same conclusions of. And I'm going to get into all of that in this video. If you do get value from this video, make sure you click like and subscribe if you want to see more. So tomorrow, BRICS are hosting a summit, and it's highly anticipated that we're going to get the likes of Saudi Arabia and many other countries more declaring and announcing that they are in fact joining BRICS Plus. In addition to all of that, they have also announced that BRICS will be operating with their own currency within the BRICS nations, meaning that we ultimately have what's called de-dollarization, moving away from the dollar as the world reserve currency. In order for this to happen, we talked about this a while ago, in order for this to happen, cooperation between the BRICS nations has to exist. You can't have countries acting alone. Now, it seemed for a while there, and we talked about this in videos, it seemed for a while that the BRICS nations were very much operating on their own. But at the same time, we saw they were accumulating gold like it's nobody's business. Now we can see why they were accumulating so much gold, right? Because the currency that they're creating is going to be backed by gold. And you say, okay, backed by gold, how are they actually going to do that backing? Are they going to just create a new currency out of nowhere? It's just going to be a digital currency? Or are they going to do this on the blockchain to create a digital currency via tokenized gold? And so I wanted to think about this from all perspectives. The first perspective being, actually, do they even need blockchain for this? And that's a hard question to ask, especially when I'm an advocate and I talk about blockchain all the time and how it is the future. How could I possibly bring up the argument that they may not even use blockchain? Well, if you remember, FedNow launched last month. Previous to FedNow, instant payments were available for people in the US without FedNow. Instant payments without FedNow, without blockchain. They were doing instant payments. Let me explain how that works. So let's look at banks. Let's take Citibank, for example. Citibank is almost like at the top of all of the banks. And then as that branches out, you get into the more like commercial banks and the smaller banks underneath. Whenever any transaction happens within those smaller banks underneath, from one of those banks underneath to another bank that's still under the Citibank umbrella, it was instant payments because ultimately, when money moves from one account to another, it's all on the same book. It's all on the same ledger. So ultimately, it's just changing numbers in a program on the same book. So now you hear that and you think, well, why did FedNow happen in the first place? Why did we even need FedNow if that's the case? Well, the problem is, if you're on JP Morgan's book and you want to send to Citibank's book, that's the slow process. There's a delay, it's expensive. That's when all of the issues arise, right? Because you're actually now trying to convert numbers from one ledger to another ledger. And so FedNow was a move to make sure that all of the banks participating in FedNow ultimately would all work within the same ledger, within the same book. So moving money from a Citibank bank to a JP Morgan bank is now instantaneous as well. Now we speculate on the technology that's underneath all of that. We do believe that through the partners like Finastra and Temenos, that they're going to use XRP, that if they're not using XRP right now, they're going to use XRP in the future to transmit value across all of these ledgers instantaneously. This is what we believe allows FedNow to be able to do instant payments like they did previously when just under one book. So we have to acknowledge that with this BRICS currency, they don't need blockchain to facilitate these payments. They could just move all of the banks within all of the BRICS and BRICS Plus nations under one book and allow them to facilitate the transfer of value between all of them instantaneously and completely cut out the blockchain element, ultimately cutting out the XRP element. But that's not all. That's not the end of the argument, because we do know that the blockchain technology and cryptocurrency is taking over the world. It is where all the CBDCs are going. It is where the world is going. And even though America is a massive place, even though the BRICS nations cover lots of the population, we all need each other in this financial world. And of course, this is all me speculating. This is my own opinion based on the research that I have done. Feel free to come back at me with different trains of thought. I'm fully open to all of that. Again, this is just my personal opinion. I think BRICS will open this currency on a blockchain. I think that blockchain will be created by themselves, even though like we have the likes of Brazil and India and South Africa who've all sat down with Ripple. I understand this. But I think the BRICS nations come first for them, but they're going to build it on their own blockchain. Within that blockchain, they will tokenize gold and peg the value of that BRICS coin to that asset. When they transfer value between all the different BRICS nations for trade, for oil, whatever it is, any market that you can imagine, they'll do it all within that BRICS coin, and they will do it all instantaneously on the blockchain and not use XRP. That's shock horror moment, right? This is just my opinion, but wait for it. But you can't act alone. BRICS can't act alone. They can't do everything within the BRICS nations. They're going to have to send money out. They're going to also have to receive money in for their exports. And this is where I believe XRP comes in. Or at the very least, where blockchain technology comes in. And the reason I believe the BRICS nations' currency is going to be ultimately built on the blockchain is because they acknowledge they're going to need to send money out and come in. They also acknowledge that blockchain is taking over the world and CBDCs are coming. So in light of that, in order to make sure that they're not extremely siloed from the rest of the world, they use that as their reason to build it on the blockchain. But we have to send payments away and we have to receive payments. So how are we going to do that? So it's my opinion that in order to facilitate these cross-border, not even cross-border anymore, it's like USA or UK or Europe into BRICS, or BRICS into another country or another region, they're going to want an asset in between that can allow them to transfer the value instantaneously. Now, one of the big arguments you might come up with is, why would BRICS want anything to do with an American company such as Ripple? And this is where I think being reasonable comes in and understanding what the technology actually is. I think if Ripple was the main focus of all of this, then sure, Russia and China probably wouldn't want to use Ripple. But understanding that XRP is not Ripple, XRP is decentralized, XRP is agnostic in nature. All it is code that is not affiliated with any country. That's why I say agnostic, because it means it's not part of any given system. It's its own thing. It isn't tied to any country. They can use XRP, the asset, without using Ripple, the company, as a stumbling block. So I think any transfers of value from all of the BRICS nations into the rest of the world will use XRP to facilitate the transfer of those currencies from BRICS into euros, from BRICS into US dollars. XRP sits right in the middle to be able to facilitate that value transfer as an agnostic asset, not affiliated to any country that you can be mad at. It just does what it's supposed to do and isn't affiliated anywhere else. Now, there was an article that was released I saw all over Twitter, and I want you to just all be very, very careful. It's one of those reasons why you should follow these videos and subscribe on YouTube, because when these big pieces of news come out where people say BRICS are going to use XRP, it's easy to get carried away, and many people do. They get very carried away and start posting it all over Twitter when in fact, there's context that has been missed out, and I want to clear up some of that in this video right now. So all over Twitter, something that's circulating is an article called "On De-risking and De-dollarizing Intra-BRICS Trade via Smart Contracts." And this is published by an entity called BRICS Journal of Economics. Now, of course, just because of the name of this website, it's going all over Twitter as if BRICS have announced that they're using XRP, when that really isn't the fact. The fact is, this is an article created by a group of people who are interested in BRICS and create peer-reviewed journals and research on the area. So it's by no means affiliated with actual BRICS, like the entity BRICS. It is not affiliated. But they do mention XRP and how the escrow could be used as a smart contract, essentially saying that it's actually a really good option with the escrow feature. You can, if you want to make trade via smart contracts, the XRPL might be a really good option. And while that's really nice to hear, it doesn't come from BRICS, right? This is the exact same thing as, let's say all of us, right? Me and you, and we get a group of 100 people together and we say, let's write blogs about Ripple, and we're going to call ourselves Ripple Insights, and that's the name of our website. And we create these journals called Ripple Insights. And when we post something about smart contracts and we say the escrow can be used as in a kind of this smart contract way, and we are Ripple Insights. Imagine if that post or that website got shared all over Twitter saying that Ripple were talking on this topic. That's not the case. It's just a few people who are really interested in Ripple who've included Ripple in the name of the company or the name of the website, and everyone's running away with it as if it was actually Ripple. That's the exact same thing that has happened here. These are just people interested in BRICS doing research and investigating some really good options for de-dollarizing, de-risking intra-BRICS trade via smart contracts. That's what they're doing here. They're just throwing ideas around. Intelligent ideas, but ideas nonetheless. And just to drive this home, it says here right on the website, BRICS Journal of Economics is a peer-reviewed, open-access journal covering key economic issues of middle-income developing countries, primarily BRICS countries. The journal objectives are to expand knowledge on contemporary economic trends in BRICS countries, to publish original research papers that present outcomes of initiatives and findings across all fields of the economy and management in these countries. So it's not from BRICS. I don't need to keep saying that. But just be careful what you're reading on Twitter and what you're reading online and what you're watching. And ultimately, it's always good to have somebody online that you can kind of refer to and ask these questions. So if you've got questions about things you see, feel free, like all the time, tag me on Twitter, put them in the comments below this video. And I'll do my best to check these documents and see if they're legitimate. They won't need XRP to facilitate the payments between them. It's just the problem is when you start to take things outside of the BRICS countries, you're going to need an agnostic bridge asset. And there's only one agnostic bridge asset that works deliberately to provide liquidity to massive markets. Can you guess which one that is? As always, stay emotionless, and I'll see you in the next one.